Sky News can reveal victims of grooming gangs have been denied compensation by a government scheme because they have criminal records. Our data and forensics team discovered that more than 11,000 victims of crime have been denied payouts over the last decade, and that includes children. A warning, this report from Alice Porter contains references to drug addiction and sexual abuse.
It happened every couple of days. Some of the stuff is now classed as rape.
Arthur was 5 when he was sexually abused by his babysitter. In 2008, he reported it to the police, but his abuser wasn't charged.
I started to use drinking drugs, and I used that as a coping mechanism.
Struggling with addiction, Arthur was repeatedly arrested for minor offences, such as making false calls to the emergency services.
I wasn't getting any support from any agencies, nothing like that. No one at all asked me, why is this man ringing the emergency services all the time? It was a cry for help, you know, I was just frustrated that I wasn't being believed. It destroyed my life.
Eventually, Arthur's abuser was convicted of multiple offences against children. Arthur tried to make a claim through the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority, but was rejected because of his criminal record.
It felt unfair, it felt unjust, it felt, I was angry that, and I didn't see how they could not give me the compensation when the crimes were a petty criminal activity caused by what happened to me as a child.
The Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority is a government body which can award money to victims of violent crime, including sexual abuse. But if an applicant has a criminal record, they're automatically refused compensation with limited exceptions.
Sky News' data and forensics team found more than 11,000 victims of crime over the last decade have been denied any compensation because of their criminal records or character. Where age was recorded, at least 348 children have been refused compensation because of their criminal records. At least another 130 children with criminal records had reduced awards, including 50 victims of sex abuse, 4 victims of brain damage, and 1 person who lost sight in an eye. The former Victims Commissioner says the scheme needs greater discretion.
It's the right principle not to compensate people who are voluntary criminals, but look, for instance, at the women for whom we're trying to set up a grooming gangs inquiry now. Many of those were controlled and done immeasurable damage by the groomers for a very long time and were forced to commit offences whilst they were in that grip.
The independent inquiry into child sexual abuse recommended that people with unspent convictions are not excluded from compensation where offences are linked to childhood abuse. Now, Labour MP Sarah Champion has tabled an amendment to the Victims and Courts Bill with the hope of implementing this recommendation.
Victims of modern slavery are falling foul of this scheme because Seeker thinks it can make the rules up as it goes along. These people, who are very clearly recognised as victims and survivors, aren't getting the money that's owed to them. The system's broken and the ministers need to get rid of it.
A government spokesperson said, last year more than £164 million was paid out under the Criminal Injuries Compensation Scheme to victims. Changes to the way we compensate victims have been considered by successive governments, and our priority must always be to treat all victims of violence equally. But equality seems out of reach for people like Arthur, impacted by abuse, unable to escape their pasts. Alice Porter, Sky News.